Well, wake up now, don't you know it's time for the Cowboy Corner Show. Come on, everyone, let's go to the Cowboy Corner Show.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Cowboy Corner Show with me, the Cowboy, who is also in the corner as always. The Cowboy Corner Show now being presented by Daylight Donuts, my good friends down there at the now officially opened Daylight Donuts. As of the time that you're viewing this show, they've been open for, I believe, 2 days now. 2 days. And let me tell you, they are smoking down there. Not literally, but just the business part of it. I went by opening day, and I was up, bright and early, and at about 5:30 a.m., I said, I'm going to go down to the donut shop, get me a dozen donuts. And I drove down there at 5:30 thinking that it was going to be all clear, maybe one or two people, but most people were probably still going to be sawing logs and in the sheets. And when I got down, like, on the main street, that's not even the street that the donut shop's on, but just the main street, you could see just a row of taillights. And I was like, are you kidding me? And sure enough, as I got closer, there were probably 20 to 30 cars deep on the shoulder, parked on the shoulder of the main street. And then you got to turn the corner there, and there was another 25, 30 cars going down that way up to the drive-through, and then the whole parking lot was full. Like I said, this is at 5:30 in the morning, like the sun's not even fully up yet. And they had probably 50 to 60 cars in line there, and I'm just like, geez, are you serious? But, praise God, they have done an excellent job. They've done excellent advertising, and they had a crowd. And from what I heard, they were completely sold out by 10:30. So within like 6 hours, they had completely sold out of product and used like 280 pounds of the dough, the mix, whatever it is. I don't really know how donuts are done other than they just go really nice down my esophagus, and I enjoy them. But, congratulations to the newly opened Daylight Donut Shop. I am very proud to be supported by them and to support them with my business. So if you want the best donuts in town, the best donuts in the entire land, go see my friends at Daylight Donuts and tell them the Cowboy sent you. So, that's exciting news. And then, I played a small part in doing some of the stuff there. So I was in the newspaper today. So that was pretty cool. Well, I say I was in the newspaper. I wasn't in the newspaper officially, but just a little piece of the artwork made the newspaper there. And this is actually, in real life, much bigger because here, that's a pretty small version. But that's actually like a full-size wall portrait that I did. And then I was blessed enough to have that in the paper. So that's a pretty exciting deal. But I don't know, like, is it still exciting to be in the newspaper? Because, does anybody even still read the newspaper? I don't really know. I mean, back a long time ago, it was a big deal. Like, if you were in the newspaper, then you were something. Like, if you're going to be in the newspaper, you were calling everybody you knew. You were telling them, hey, get a paper tomorrow. Your boy's going to be in the paper, because you did something big. And I don't know if it really still carries that kind of weight or not. I'm not dogging newspapers. I think newspapers are great. They're a great part of culture, and they're a great pastime. But, before the internet, before you had everything on Facebook and the YouTube and the Instagrams, like, the newspaper was it. Like, you had your picture in the newspaper, that was your Instagram post, but you would only get that ever so often, and it was a big deal when you did. Like me, I wasn't even sure. Like, I knew there was going to be something in the newspaper because I received a phone call, and they were asking permission, which, of course, I was like, well, yeah, as long as I'm going to be in the good part of the newspaper, I'm not going to give you permission to put me in the criminal activity ads or whatever. But if we're going to be on the up and up, then yeah, you can go ahead. So I knew I was going to be in there, but I didn't actually know what it was going to be, what it was going to say. And so, I was going to get a newspaper, but then I had to ask around. I was like, where do you even get a newspaper anymore? Because a lot of times they'll come deliver them to your house or whatever, but that's if you have a subscription, and we don't have a subscription. So nobody was going to deliver one out here to the ranch. So I knew I was going to have to go get it. So then I was asking around, and ended up I didn't even have to go get one. My wife gets one at her place of employment, so we ended up just doing that. But I was looking around, and it was just funny. I went to the CVS. I go to the CVS to get drinks, because they have this particular drink I like there at the CVS, the yerba mates, which I know you can get the yerba mates in other places, but CVS has them in the refrigerator. They're already cold, and they got like the coldest refrigerators, around. Now, this ain't a CVS ad. They're not paying me anything to say this yet. They can pay me. I'll gladly take it, but I'm just saying, they got the yerba mates there, and they got them really cold. Like, you pull them out of that ice box at the CVS, and you can barely hold them. Like, you got to, wrap your shirt around them to carry them up to the cash register. But I went and got me a couple of those, and then I was looking for the newspaper, which, like I said, I ended up not even getting. And then I realized I'm standing there with my yerba mates, and I'm standing there in line at the checkout, which there's like nobody, an employee. There's no employee to be seen. I don't know where they're at, but they got the self checkout. So I'm standing there because, of course, only one's working. And then I got Aunt Grandma in front of me, and she's having to just kind of feel her way through that because she ain't got any idea how to run the self checkout. So I'm standing there just looking around, and then like I realized that CVS is Wildin, y'all. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, and this is just recent because we're pretty regular CVS shoppers. Now, my wife is a big time CVS shopper, and this is kind of going down another rabbit hole, but like, she's a big time CVS shopper. She thinks that CVS is just great, and she has the rewards program, the rewards. And so, she thinks she's like a CVS VIP, which I guess she is. But, she gets these coupons, and it'll say, you get 40% off of one item or whatever. That they change it weekly. And, that's a big deal to her. She's like, well, I got to go to CVS and get this and that because I got my 40% off coupon. And I'm just like, I try to explain to her, like, this is basic marketing. Like, you are getting the 40% off coupon for sure. But what you're not understanding is they're already marking that baby up another 40%, and then they're just getting it back down there to the regular price. Like, you can go to some other places and you can get it on the regular price for the same as what you're going to get that 40%. Like, they ain't losing the 40%. This is basic business economics, and I'm no business economist, but I know enough to be able to tell you this. Like, that's how that works. But neither here nor there, nonetheless, we're at CVS quite a bit, and I've never noticed this before, so this is recent, but they're wilding at the CVS, and I'm not even going to go into detail about what's going on there. But all you got to do is take a look behind the counter at what's going on, like right where the cologne and the perfume is. You just look above that, and yeah, you could be shocked. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know if the people that actually go to CVS are the same people that you're trying to market these products to, because those two things, I don't know if they necessarily go together. But CVS is usually kind of the older generational crowd, the senior citizen type people. They're the ones that go to most of these pharmacy places. And so I don't know if the items that you have behind the counter there are necessarily catering to these people. But then I'm also thinking, the gray-headed folks, they may live a life that we don't know about. Just because there is snow on the roof don't mean that there's no fire in the furnace, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, they may know how to do it. So I'm just casting that out there. I don't know, but CVS is wild, and so that was a little shocking to me. But anyway, I ended up getting my yerba mates, and I just checked out and left and went on about my business, and just tending my duties on the ranch and doing my thing. But back to the art subject, like at the donut shop, people are kind of surprised and say, well, I didn't know that you could do that and that you painted and whatnot. And I mean, yeah, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but like, any good cowboy can wield a paintbrush. Like, you got to be able to wield a paintbrush to be worth your salt. And I don't really know how those two things go together, but they do. So, that's that. But I've been known to draw a few things and to paint some stuff up. And, I can do some woodworking. I can do some metal art. Just do the basic things that you do on a ranch and then put it together in an artistic fashion. And there was a while that I was a tattoo artist, and I ain't done that in a few years, like fully, because there's a bunch of red tape associated with that now, and I ain't trying to get the health department all up on my case. I mean, not that I was doing anything that was not health department worthy, but there's just too much red tape. So the tattoo business is currently on hiatus until further notice. But there for a while I did that, and I've got tattoos myself. I've got several tattoos, and most of them, especially on this arm here, are the ones that I did myself, because you got to practice. You can't just open up a tattoo shop and you ain't never gave no tattoos. But then the catch on that situation is nobody's gonna want to let you give them a tattoo if you ain't never gave no tattoos. So what do? Well, you can do fruit, and that was a thing. Like, you can practice on bananas, you can practice on oranges, but that's still, you're not doing the real deal, right? So I was like, well, I got a blank canvas here, so here we go. So I tattooed myself up a little bit, especially on this arm, because obviously right hand on the left arm fits perfectly, and it's how I got practiced. And then that's also a walking billboard. As long as you can do good, then you got your own billboard, and people, well, let me see your tattoo work. You got a portfolio? And I'm like, well, no, but I got this portfolio. And so that works, and then you get business from there. But I always did tattoos tastefully. You can get in big trouble with tattoos if you're not wise. Like, you can do dumb tattoos, and people do a bunch of dumb tattoos. People do tattoos not thinking about what it's going to look like, especially in a few years, because you may start getting a little bit looser around the edges, if you know what I'm saying, as you get older. And everybody says it, you get the butterfly, and then it turns into a pterodactyl, and ain't nobody wants that. You get the cute little puppy dog, and then next thing you know, it's a fire-breathing dragon in a few years. So you have to be wise, and you don't want a bunch of words on there if you don't know how to spell, because everybody's seen the guy that's got no regrets tattooed on his neck. And I seen one the other day that said, my mama is my angle, because they obviously didn't know how to spell angel correct, which that's not even biblical anyway. Like, mama don't turn into an angel, but she might turn into an angle. I don't know. So hey, maybe they knew more about what they were doing than I'm actually giving them credit for, if we're being honest. But I almost had a tattoo, well, a couple tattoos that I regretted, and I don't regret them. But when I got my fingers done, and it says handmade. I don't know if you can see it, but handmade. But when I first got these done, it's been years and years ago now, probably 15 years ago or so, that I got these knuckles done up, or the fingers. So my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, but is obviously my wife now, that's why I say my wife, she seen them, and I just got them done. I mean, they were fresh. That writing was, it was popping. It was bright. It wasn't faded at all. Man, you could see it, and it was popping. And she seen me shortly after, and we weren't dating or anything. I mean, we were just like not even officially friends. Like, I knew she was pretty hot, but there was other things going on, and so there wasn't none of that going on at the time. But she seen I was writing something, so I just had this hand, and she couldn't see this hand, and she walked by, and she took a look, and she stopped, and she turned around, and she came back, and she's like, let me see that. So I stuck it out. She says, your fingers say hand. And I said, yeah, you can read, they say hand. And I could tell, like, she was about to get me. So I was just looking like, let me have it. And then she said, so, like, what's the purpose of that? Are you trying to like remember what your body parts are? She's like, do your toes say foot? And I was just like, you know what? You can go. You can just keep on a trucking, and I will holler at you later. Now, at the time, I was like, this is either going to go one of two ways. Like, I'm either going to fight this chick or I'm going to marry her eventually. And, of course, it turned out for the best because I ended up getting a hold of her. So here we are now down the road. And, I still bring that up every once in a while whenever I get a little ticked off. But good times, you just got to know, like, you got to think about a tattoo before you get a tattoo. Like, you're going to have to think about it. You got to put a little bit of thought and meditation into it and just think, like, this is going to be here for a while. So I better make sure that it is definitely something that I'm intending on keeping. But anyway, I mean, my wife is great. Back to the wife thing. Like, my wife is great. I think everybody needs a good wife. I think everybody should, just like picking out a tattoo and thinking about it, you need to do the same thing about your wife. If you're a man, obviously, you need to take a little time and let it work itself out and think about the wife, because just like a tattoo, you're going to be stuck with her for a little while. So you need to be sure that everything jives. And I found one that I jive with. So, having a good wife is great. She keeps me really in check. I mean, I was a little bit wild before, just kind of like the CVS thing. Me and CVS, we were wilding a little bit. CVS wasn't wilding at the time. They're wilding now. I was wilding at the time. But, you get a hold of a good woman and she will straighten you out. And us men, we need that because we're just a little bit of Rolling Stone, We need somebody to just kind of wrangle that in a little bit. And my wife does a good job. I mean, there was things, especially early on, like I gave her a run for her money. And there's things, we was just talking the other day about, it was earlier today, honestly. We were just talking about like, one time early on in the dating process, like we went to eat and we was having spaghetti and I was just, eating spaghetti, enjoying myself, having a heck of a time. Well, I didn't know, but come to find out a little bit later, like the whole time she's judging me. Like she's sitting there judging me on how I ate spaghetti. And, I guess that she was quite offended by it. Like she thought that the way that I ate spaghetti was not correct because I eat spaghetti like every red-blooded American man. You just get your fork, you scoop it up there, you get you a mouthful of it, and then you just... suck them noodles in there, let it kind of flop around a little bit, and you're slanging the sauce everywhere. I mean, it's good stuff. Like you got to enjoy it, and if you ain't wearing it, you ain't enjoying it, right? Like the more you're wearing, the better it is. That's my opinion. She didn't agree though, and like I said, I didn't know that at the time, but come to find out, I mean, she called her brother, my brother-in-law, he's my brother-in-law now, but me and him, we've been friends since way before she's in the picture. But I found out later, like she called him and she's like, I can't believe the way that he's eating that spaghetti and just slurping it up and letting it fly around. Like I'm plumb offended by it. And, he was like, hey, calm down. Like he's an American man. What do you expect? Do you want him to be Lulu and eating it with the spoon and, twirling it around and stuff? That ain't how that's going to happen. Like you want a American cowboy man, that's what you got. So you're going to have to just deal with it and, work on them, fine-tuning them things later. And so, obviously she did, and now she's all right with it. And I've kind of cleaned up my spaghetti eating etiquette a little bit and got a few more manners. But if you're doing that, if that's your thing, if you're still out there on the dating circuit and making the rounds, my advice to you from experience would just be to just hit up the spaghetti parlor on the first date. Like make that the thing. Like say we're going on the first date, we're going to go get us a big old pot of spaghetti and just, be yourself and go to town on it. Like however you normally do it, just do it and get that all figured out. And that way you ain't worrying about it. Once you're down the road a little ways, you've already got all that out of the way. Like they know the habits on both sides. And also you'll know like if the gal's weird or if the guy's weird and, vegetarian or something, that you ain't even going to be compatible with. Like you'll just get out of the way. So I'd say hit up the spaghetti parlor on the first date and then just don't just be sticking the toes in the water. Get the whole feet down in there, get it figured out, and then go from there. And I think you'll be able to just build a really good, just a blooming and a budding relationship. So that's your dating advice for this week from the Cowboy from experience. I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to get you moving things along and get this kind of stuff figured out so that you ain't going through the trials and tribulations. So anyways, there's also times when that comes in a little more handy than other times. Like the other night, I mean, she pretty much saved my life and I didn't even know it. But, I had something in my eye. My eye was like burning. It was on fire right in here. And I could tell I had something in my eye. And I've never worn any kind of eye enhancement. I've got 20/20 vision in both eyes. I always have. And I'm not saying that from a haughty place. I'm just saying it to give you a backstory that, like, I don't know what it is to have contacts or to wear glasses, to do anything like that, because I've never done it. So I am just totally ignorant to the situation of how that works. So, she has glasses and contacts and she has all this stuff. Well, there's been times before that I've had stuff. I've had something in my eye. I needed to wash my eye out. She's got a big old jug of like eye wash, basically. That's what I see it as. It's like eye wash, and she's got a big jug in her bathroom in there. And so I waltzed up in there to wash this thing out of my eye that was bugging me, and I pick up the jug that's sitting there on the bathroom counter, and I just pick it up and I realize, well, this is pretty empty. Like, it's barely sloshing around. Now, this is a good thing, and this was totally a God intervention, come to find out. But it barely had any in it, and I felt it sloshing around. Now, otherwise, if it was full, I was going to just start cranking it up in my eye. But I picked it up, noticed it was almost empty, and she was right around the corner. So I said, "Hey, is this all of this that you got? Because I'm about to use it up, but I don't want to use it so you can't wash your contacts." And she seen it and she started hollering at me. She's like, no, you can't. And I'm like, hey, I was just going to use, like, I got something in my eye. I'm just going to wash it out. That's why I'm asking you. But she was like, you can't use that. That's got the red lid on it. And I was like, what do you mean it's got the red lid on it? I see it's got the red lid on it, but what does that matter? I'm just trying to wash my eye out. She's like, you can't use that. That is not the saline solution stuff. She's like, that is like basically battery acid in a bottle. She's like, you can't put that in your eye. That will burn your eye, and I'll probably end up having to take you to the emergency room. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Apparently, come to find out, there's two different types of contact cleaner, solution, cleanser, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not even aware of that. At the time, I'm plumb aware of it now. But at the time, I wasn't. So I was, like I said, I was going to crank it off in my eye without even asking her. But the problem was it was empty, and I didn't want to use the last of it. So being the polite guy that I am, I asked her. Well, good thing I did, because, it would have went from just a little bit of eye irritation to, plumb blindness possibly. So praise God for that. But, that's what I'm saying. Like, they come in handy. You get you a good wife, she's going to take care of you. She's going to be there through the good times and the bad, and she's going to keep you from doing something stupid and injuring yourself. And I'm glad that she did. So she ended up opening up the drawer and grabbing the actual stuff that I was looking for, which is in a clear bottle and it's got a clear lid on it. And I was able to pump some of that in my eye and get the situation taken care of. But, like, I didn't know that, and that's just me being ignorant of the situation, because I've never actually used any of that. So now I know going forward, if I see a red cap on the jug, then, stay away, get me the clear stuff, because that'd have been pretty horrible. But, that just leads me into the next subject here, that just, you can be smart but not be wise, because there are a lot of people that are smart and they're not wise. And that's like I was in that situation. Like, I'm a pretty smart feller, but in that situation, I wasn't wise. I didn't have much wisdom, Now, on the other hand, you can't necessarily be wise and not be smart. Those two things go together. But you can be smart and not wise. And that's why you always got to seek wisdom. You got to seek wisdom. It's biblical. The Bible says, seek wisdom. So you can be smart, and that can come naturally. You can be, really good at math. You can be really good at writing a song. You can be really good at, figuring out puzzles and whatnot. Like, you can be smart, but you may not have any kind of wisdom or street knowledge. You have to gain that. You have to work on that. You have to study to get the wisdom. Like me, I'd never studied the context solution. I didn't find any reason to, but it almost cost me pretty dearly. And so I just am reminded of that. Like, seek wisdom in all you do, seek wisdom. And once again, that's in the Bible, and like Solomon, he was a very smart guy. He was very smart. And that in turn was able to gain him things. He was able to gain a lot of riches, a lot of wealth, and he gained a lot of wives. But does that mean that he was necessarily really wise? Well, no, because he did a lot of dumb stuff too, like having a lot of wives. I'm talking about mine and saying that having a wife is a good thing, and that's biblical also. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. When you find a good wife, you find a good thing, but it's a wife. I only want the one that I got. I ain't trying to get 11, 12 of you. Not for me. And he had I don't remember, 700 or something like that. I mean, it was a ridiculous amount. I don't call that wisdom. I just call that being in heat. But you just have to think about, okay, I'm smart, but I'm going to gain the wisdom. I'm going to work on getting the wisdom. I'm going to work on being wise. And that's why most of the people that that have a lot of wisdom, they're older people, because you have to gain it. You have to live it. You have to get it through experience. You have to get it through trial and error. You have to get it through just figuring things out. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Like, in all things that you do, seek wisdom. Don't do stupid stuff. Don't get dumb tattoos. Don't pour battery acid in your eyeball. Always try to seek wisdom before you do something big. So, hey, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm glad that you joined me on the show today. Once again, stop by Daylight Donuts, get you a belly full of them deep fried little goodies, and I will see you later.